Hi, this is Kristen from the Knit Cafe, and I'm going to show you how to make one of these needle felted rainbows today. So what you're going to need is you're going to need various colors of fleece, which is unspun wool. You're going to need a few different sizes of felting needles. You're going to need a foam block to protect your needles and your table. And you're going to need something to measure with. Okay, so what we're going to start with here is we're going to start with the inner arc at the base of the rainbow. So here I have some fleece. Just going to make sure this is in focus. To break off the piece of fleece is really easy. You just can't have your hands too close together. You can break it off really easily if your hands are further apart. So I'm just going to take some and break off here. I'm going to want this piece to be about 8 centimeters long. So currently that's about 12. But I like to fold in my edges or the tips of the fleece anyway so that the ends don't end up being too skinny there, because you want like a consistent piece of wool like that. We're going to try to make this into sort of a worm shape, so we kind of start out with it that way. Then I'm going to take my coarsest needle felting tool, which in this case is a 36, and I'm going to start needle felting by just pushing the needle up and down into the fleece like that. You want to make sure that your needle felting tool is not given too much pressure on the end, so you're not bending it, otherwise it will break. And you also want to make sure you're not going anywhere near your fingers, because if you poke yourself, it's going to hurt and it might bleed, so be very careful about that. So just kind of poke it in and out along the piece of wool like this. You keep turning it over because you want to make sure that you're getting even felting on all sides. Just keep turning it and turning it. So what's happening here is, because the felting needle has little barbs on it, it is reorganizing the fiber and making it more and more dense. Keep moving it. Takes a little while, but what we're aiming for is we want to get the piece of fleece to be not firm. We want it firm in the end. But for now, we just want to get the general shape, and we want to have like no little flyaway, or very few little flyaway little bits, so that it has a bit of structure. So keep turning it over. That's how we get consistent felt, and mind your fingers. So you're going to keep doing that. Eventually, what you will get is something which more resembles this. So this is what we have now, but if we keep working at it, then we'll get something like this. So this is very fluffy. This is kind of medium fluffy with still some squish in it. And it is approximately 8 centimeters long. It doesn't have to be exact. I have done all the rest of the pieces too for you to see. So, whoopsie, get it in the right order. Like so. You can see that all the pieces are in succession, like a little bit longer. Whoopsie, it goes like that. So each piece is a little bit longer to actually make the rainbow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that piece of purple, the inner one that we were working on, and we're going to manipulate it into sort of an arc shape here. So you can keep using the needle that you were using, or you can go down to your next needle. I'm going to keep using the coarse one for right now, see what it feels like. And I'm just going to hold it into that arc shape and move my needle, oopsie, move my needle up and down so that it stays in place. So this is sculpting with wool, so we're using our fingers to kind of manipulate the fleece into the shape that we want it, and then we're making, the tool is making it stay that way. So if we want to, we can also turn it this way and use our tool like that, or like this and get it right in the center, or turn it over to the other side. Always go down into your felting block. Make sure you try to get all the different sides. I don't do it too much on this side because I want that to stay nice and fluffy and, well, not exactly fluffy, but we want it to be not too firm so that when we add on the next layer, it will stick better. Because the less firm it is, the better the fibers will actually adhere to each other. So generally speaking, I would work on this a little bit longer so that it was holding its shape. But just so you don't get bored, I'm going to take the next one and line it up like this. And then I'm going to switch to my next size needle, which in this case is a star 38. And to make the two pieces go together, I'm going to orient my needle through the blue and into the purple, like this. It. Make sure you get all sides, so you turn it over, start working it on this side too. If you want, you can also work from the purple side into the blue. So I can start working it like that as well. I find this is better a little bit at a later stage. Right now they're not really stuck together quite yet. If you decide at any point that you didn't add quite enough felt, so see if I wanted to like add a little bit more blue there, I could definitely do that. I could just break off a little piece of felt, kind of manipulate it into place, and then start felting that right on while I was adding it to the purple piece. That's totally okay to do. You can always add on with needle felting. It's trickier to do the other, to take stuff off, but adding on is no problem. And the more, at earlier stages, it's also easier to do than at later stages. So again, I would continue with this. I would keep adding on more layers like this. As you add on more layers, you'll be doing more and more poking with your needle, so the fibers will get more and more condensed. It will get smaller and it will get firmer. But once you've done that and you have it all together, you'll get something like this. At that point, you should switch to your smallest needle. And then just try to get everything more even. And the more you poke it with your small needle, the smoother the fibers will be. You can also differentiate between the layers of the colors if you want, by sort of dragging your needle and kind of separating the colors, but then making sure that they're still felted together. I mean, having blending colors in a rainbow is kind of a nice thing to do anyway. But if you didn't like to have that green there, you could use the tip of your needle to reorganize the fiber. And if you have any little divots, then you can use your finer needle to try to get rid of the divots too. See how I'm going on the side like that and not straight up and down here? That helps also to get rid of divots. I also find that at the very end of the project is when I kind of get the flatness on the edge to happen too, so I spend quite a bit of time on the rainbow piece on the bottom to get this area flat at the end stage of my needle felting. But I'm using my fine needle to just sort of craft all the details, get it smoother, and make any sort of changes to the general shape that I want to with my fine needle. And then when it's firm enough and as perfect as you can make it, or as you like it, because, you know, things that are too perfect, you don't really want those. You want it to still look like it's handmade. Then you're done. And you've done your rainbows. Thanks very much.